What you see on your screen is a confrontation between the Philippine Navy and the Chinese Coast Guard in the South China Sea. Chinese Coast Guard personnel on rubber boats surrounded Philippine Navy personnel. The Chinese side even pointed weapons like pickaxes at them. This incident is from June this year. The Philippines accused the Chinese Coast Guard of intentionally ramming and damaging its Navy vessels and seizing weapons to disrupt a military resupply mission. The incident resulted in serious injuries to a Filipino sailor who lost a finger. Here's another video. Filipino activists marching through the streets of Manila, chanting slogans and carrying placards. See what's written on them. China out West Philippine Sea. The rally marks the 8th anniversary of a significant ruling by the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague. In 2016, this court had ruled that China's claims in the South China Sea have no historical basis and that its actions in the region have violated the Philippines' sovereign rights. Listen to this.
The international community has already ruled that Filipino fisher folks have a right to fish in the West Philippine Sea. So no matter what they are doing, harassing our fisher folks, harassing our Coast Guard, ordinary Filipino citizens are standing up, protecting our Filipino fisher folks because we refuse to back down and we refuse to cower to China's threats and harassment.
But China thinks otherwise. It does not recognize the 2016 ruling. Beijing claims its actions in the South China Sea have been lawful and professional, but tensions in the region have been escalating. This photograph, released by the Philippine Coast Guard in July this year, shows China's largest Coast Guard vessel anchored in Manila's exclusive economic zone in the South China Sea. A Philippine Coast Guard personnel sent a radio message to the Chinese ship.
China Coast Guard vessel 5901 within the vicinity waters of Sabina Shoal. This is Philippine Coast Guard vessel BRP Teresa Magbanwa, MRRV 9701. You are sailing within the Philippine exclusive economic zone. What is your intention? Over.
After the incident, China's foreign ministry, like always, claimed Sabina Shoal is part of China's Spratly Islands and not in the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines. Philippines and Japan are among those countries that have shared concerns over China's growing military power and tensions in the Indo-Pacific. They have signed a defense pact allowing the deployment of troops on each other's soil. This landmark deal is the first of its kind to be signed by Japan in Asia. It comes at a time when Chinese vessels have increased their assertive actions in the contested South China Sea. Here's Japan warning against use of force to change the status quo in the Indo-Pacific.
Regarding the situation in the East China Sea and South China Sea, we expressed our strong opposition to unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force or coercion.
Japan has a long-standing territorial dispute with China regarding the Senkaku Islands located between Taiwan and Okinawa. In July this year, Chinese Coast Guard ships also entered prohibited waters around Taiwan's frontline islands of Kinmen. Taiwan responded by deploying 4 of its Coast Guard vessels to conduct one-on-one monitoring alongside the 4 Chinese ships. China started regular Coast Guard patrols near Taiwan's Kinmen Islands this year. It has increased its military pressure on Taiwan. So why does China want to control the South China Sea? First and foremost, its strategic location with lots of natural resources like oil, gas and fish. The sea is estimated to have around 11 billion barrels of oil and 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, making it a vital source of energy for China's growing economy. What's more, the South China Sea is an important shipping route. Over $3 trillion worth of trade passes through it every year. That's around 30% of global maritime trade. China wants to control this area to secure its energy needs and boost its economy. However, its claims to the territory overlap with those of other countries like the Philippines, Vietnam and Malaysia, leading to tensions and disputes. In fact, China's territorial claims cover around 90% of the South China Sea. Now, after the June incident, President of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos Jr, strongly condemned China's actions in South China Sea. He warned that if a Filipino is killed by China, it would be seen as an act of war. The Philippines has long-standing defense agreements with Australia and the US. It is considering a similar pact with France. In April this year, the US, Japan and the Philippines held their first joint summit in Washington, D.C. Its aim was to enhance military cooperation. This followed joint military exercises in the South China Sea, which also included Australia. But even as the US, the Philippines and other Asian powers threatened by China bolstered their military cooperation, China and Russia conducted a joint military exercise in the South China Sea. This exercise was seemingly aimed at countering the strengthening alliance between the US and the Philippines because it has the potential to alter regional power dynamics. India has recalibrated its strategy to acknowledge the South China Sea's vital significance in regional security and global maritime order. During his April visit to Manila, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar declared India's unwavering support for the Philippines' sovereignty. What's more, India has intensified its engagement in the region by participating in joint naval exercises with fellow Quad nations, demonstrating its commitment to collaborative security efforts. The South China Sea is a geopolitical chessboard, and the stakes are high. So who will control it? Those who follow the law or those who believe in muscle flexing? Only time will tell.